Good afternoon and welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Thank you for joining us here on this special Monday morning on Gulfstream today. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Acacia Courtney here, and we have 11 races on tap today with a special noon post to celebrate this holiday, Martin Luther King Day.
Yes, and we're happy to be here. It's a beautiful day. You see a nice breeze, and everybody, I believe, has off of school and work today, but we are here. Lots of fun stuff going on at Gulfstream Park, so come on out if you have the day off and celebrate with some great racing and some beautiful weather here in Florida.
It is beautiful, and of course we are dark tomorrow, but we do return racing on Wednesday, kind of ramping up for the coming weekend with Sunshine Millions weekend and of course Eclipse Awards. So we have a lot going on, and even 2 weeks away from Pegasus World Cup as well. Now we'll get to today's card and show you some of our featured wagers today. Here is the wagering menu. We started off in race 1 with that dollar rolling super high five. We have a heavy favorite, early money on the number 9 Truge at 1 to 5, as we in that carryover in the super high five is $8,500. Race 1 also does start the 50-cent early pick 5 each and every day. That is a mandatory payout. It does not carry over to the late pick 5 if it is not hit. Looking forward to race 6, it does start the 20-cent Rainbow 6 over 16,000 in that wager, and in race 7 it does kick off the 50-cent late pick 5. Acacia will have tickets for both the early and late pick 5. I of course will have a ticket for the Rainbow 6. So as always, we do start things off with the first race in your early pick 5 ticket. Acacia will take a look at it now, but beautiful weather today, track and weather conditions. We are fast and firm.
Fast and firm, always a good way to begin. So we'll look at my early pick 5 ticket today, and I had a hard time narrowing in on the early part of the card. I felt okay about going a little bit more expensive than I normally do for the first pick 5 because I did find a single in the late pick 5, so it'll be $54 for me. A couple races I would have liked to go much deeper in. You can see very early in the wagering, but in that first race I have a 30 to 1 and a 1 to 5 currently. So I guess that's just a little bit of a sign about how all over the place this card could be. So 2 by 3 by 3 by 2 by 3 for $54.
My pick 6 ticket was nearly impossible. When I first constructed it, I think it was like $130. Somehow I did ticket down to just around $50, but it was not easy. Acacia, you just used 2 horses to start us off here. How did you see this early race?
Well, it did land on the horse that's taking all that early money on top, and that is the number 9 Truge for Antonio Sano, Javier Castellano in the saddle, and I see that you did too. And this horse was very impressive breaking her maiden. They tried to put her into stakes company last time out in the house party. Unfortunately, it was a rainy day that day. It was a sealed, sloppy track. She ran okay, kind of evenly, but she was running against some tough competition. The winner, of course, Bodie's Dream and Wildcat Kate, who would come back to beat Bodie's Dream in their next stakes outing last week. So again, keeping some good company, but I liked the speed that she showed and the way that she won in her maiden victory.
Yeah, Wildcat Kate came back to beat Bodie's Dream, getting an 80 by her speed figure. So a couple of horses have gone on to improve out of the house party. And not only that, that particular day, there were some exceptions kind of on cheaper races on the card, but really the more substantial races, it did favor more speed types. And we saw Bodie's Dream and Wildcat Kate go 1-2 around the main track that day, and I thought Truge was at a disadvantage, and she just met kind of faster company last time out, but I could imagine she'll be used a little bit from the outside post position. I don't necessarily think she needs the lead, although that is where she won from in her first start. One horse that does have a lot of speed, though, who did not get off to a great start last time out, was your second pick, the 8 Little United.
And she's a huge price right now. I mentioned the not taking any money early, though we do see a very heavy favorite early. She's 8 to 1 in the morning line, so you might get a good price on Little United, but I've just been intrigued with her all along. I really liked her in the barn of Carlo Vaccarezza. She was claimed, and she did go to the barn of Christos Gatis, but she did win in optional claiming types her first off the claim, and she did get off to that poor start in the house party on that sealed sloppy track last time, so I'm going to give her one more shot. I like that Emisel Jaramillo's in the saddle again because I think that he handles her very well. and she does have that natural early speed.
She definitely does that, and I'm interested to see how the pace develops in this race because, as I said, our top selection she did win on the lead first time out. Little United has a lot of early speed. There are a couple of horses who showed speed kind of in their first start or breaking their maiden, so it makes you wonder who's going to go to the lead and who's going to take back. And if there is a pace duel up front, I thought it could really benefit the likes of the number 3 Laney for Eddie Keneally. The blinkers go on her today. She's had some difficulty kind of breaking in the past, or at least having some early trouble, so the blinkers go on to help her focus. But when she does get off to a good start, she's not that far off of the pace. So I'm hoping that there's a little bit of a pace duel, and I think I'm kind of backing myself up in this first race with a horse that has speed and a closer.
And that could really be just the basics of it, and that you could have a horse just come from a bit off the pace like Laney, who has been running in some pretty tough races.
Let's turn the page to race 2. We head out to the turf course at 1 1/16 for this open $16,000 claimer. And of course, the horse to beat potentially would be the 4 Val Me Over 5-2 on the morning line.
And I did give the nod to this one. This one won impressively last time against 16,000 non-winners of 3, had notched the non-winners of 2 prior to that, so looking for the 3rd win in a row for this 5-year-old mare. And really, since moving into the barn of Bobby DeBona and switching over to the turf, she really has been in excellent form in her past few races. And we do have, of course, with the lone exception of the one at the Meadowlands, where it was a good turf. I don't think that she liked the soft going there. But we do have a trainer stat on Bobby DeBona in the past 5 years with horses that won last time out in turf routes at this mid-level claiming. He does win 40% of the time, 53% in the money, and it is a smaller sample size, but it is still a 250 ROI. So that did help me have a little confidence to put this one right on top, though she is facing open company today.
And I guess my question is, when is the luck going to run out? Because she has had 2 excellent trips in her past 2 starts. But I guess she's just a mare that is in extremely good form. But I did think that this is a tougher level, a tougher race than what she's been facing. She faced non-winners of 2, then non-winners of 3, blew through her conditions really nicely. But now this open level, I think, will be a little bit tougher. But we did see Voila La Victoire come out and next out and did face non-winners of 3 the same level and get a good second, and even Cajun Queen coming back out to win the same type of condition. So I think you definitely have to respect her. I landed on the number 9 Rhythm Queen to the outside because she has been competing this open level of competition for the past several starts. I thought she ran well, all considering it was kind of a slow pace last time too. Jose Lezcano back aboard will have to work out a trip from the outside, but she does know how to win. She's a 7-time winner on the turf.
And she has a versatile running style. We did see her show a little bit of early speed 2 starts back, and then last time she sat just a little bit behind the pace. So it looks like she can kind of work out a trip from wherever in the pack she does end up, which will be key for her breaking from the outside. I think that she's certainly a must-use in that early pick 5 sequence as well. To the inside, the number 1 Forever Plus did win last time out ahead of Cajun Queen, as we mentioned, who has been in excellent form lately, and Nick Zito still sitting on that milestone win.
Yes, hoping to get that milestone win today, but we'll show you that video spotlight replay back on the 9th of December. And I thought that this was a pretty strong win. She was one that I think when she's well managed and well placed, she really gives it her all. Previously, she was facing higher level claimers for trying to notch that non-winners at 2. Once they finally dropped her down to 16, a good performance, and then finally the non-winners of 3 last time out too. And she bullied her way through horses at the quarter pole, and then she closed. And the thing about her is that she's won or has had success in the past on the lead, but that race she showed a new dimension in that she can really be placed wherever she needs to be.
She did, and Nick Juarez just found a way to get through no matter what. And her form is dirtied up a little bit, but I think that it can be excusable based on those races that were taken off of the turf. She's really well beaten when they're kind of rained off and she faces that sloppy track. She much prefers a firm turf, and that is what she'll get today.
Okay, that is race 2 on the card as we move right along to the third, going the 1-turn mile on the main track for this restricted maiden special weight. And we do have a scratch of the number 5 in here. And I thought that this was kind of tough, but I don't blame you for going to the one Ultron who comes back to the main track today.
It is a tough one, and you see I just went 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have the same 4 horses just kind of mixed up, though it is a very solid field in this State Bred Maiden Special. So I did go with Ultron, who is moving back to the dirt, and his lone dirt start was pretty disappointing, but it was at first out in Maiden Special Weight sprinting, going the 6 furlongs. I think he appreciates a bit longer. He's also had a freshening as well, and he's coming back about 4 months. He hasn't raced since the beginning of September at Belmont. Another key point, he gets Lasix for the first time, and this is also his first time facing state bred competition, so maybe it'll be just a notch easier of what he's been running against.
If you're looking at competition lines, and especially his lone dirt try, yes, he was well beaten, but Theory at the time was one of Todd Pletcher's top 2-year-olds at Saratoga over the summer, so that's something you have to consider. Lasix for the first time. It is a rail post position sometimes at the 1-turn mile, but it's kind of a shorter field, so it shouldn't be an issue. My concern with him is that he is decently bred to like the turf. He didn't show any interest in the last 2 races, and he just doesn't look like he's got a lot of speed. Now, maybe that will help a horse like this, maybe just to close him off of it and enhance him going the 1-turn mile. I don't think you can toss him whatsoever because he does have a little bit of experience, and he's taking a big drop in class, whereas my top selection, Tight Rock, he's staying at the same level of competition, but it's second time out for trainer Shug McGahee. We know how well he does with his horses making their second start. A big improvement there. This horse gets Lasix for the first time, and I can remember seeing him in the paddock, looking at him thinking, man, this is a beautiful looking horse, but he's definitely going to need one. He just looked like he wasn't 100% mature. The light bulb didn't click there. So I think that looking at him visually in the paddock, it looked like he wanted longer too. So that's where I kind of had the opinion with Tight Rock, is that he'll improve with experience and distance.
And he gets a fast track today as well. He debuted. It was a sloppy track in that State Bred Maiden Special Weight event at Gulfstream on December 10th. And I think perhaps the addition of Lasix, perhaps a bit of a learning experience in that first race, will definitely suit him. The horse that is the morning line favorite is the number 2 Unbridled Holiday for Patrick Biancone. And this one's kind of been all over the place. They tried the turf a couple times. They've been sprinting on the dirt, going long on the dirt, even trying stakes company on the turf. So he's had 5 races so far, and he's actually run very well in several of them. He just ran badly last time out.
He did, and you have to ask yourself why. And the reason, or the thing that I came up with, was that he was facing just slightly easier company. The level of competition was the same. It was open maiden special weight company at Gulfstream back in September, but it wasn't the same type of really talented horses that he faced last time out. Faja was impressive last time out. There was no doubt about it. So I think he just caught a pretty tough field. Now today, he might catch a more manageable field, and we'll see him maybe have the advantage. But at 2-1, I was interested in other horses, as were you, with the number 1 Ultron. I land on the 4 Tight Rock there in the third. We'll get to the 4th race on the card, a $16,000 claiming event. Non-winners of 3 lifetime is the condition, and we're going 5 furlongs on the turf. Acacia, you land to the outside, the number 10 Our Sweet Exchange, who does fit this competition very well.
And that is why I did go with her. She does fit in this spot. She was beaten by 6 lengths last time out against 25 allowance optional claiming types. Now she gets a bit of class relief. It is actually, I think, a pretty sizable class drop to the 16 non-winners of 3. And she's in for the tag. She has some versatile speed as well, though, which she'll need to use that speed from the outside. But Emmy Sale Jaramillo in the saddle. And I thought with that class relief, the performances that she's put in against tougher, with that speed, this could be just the right spot for her.
It is, and she is getting a class relief. We have some, I'm interested to see what she does from the outside post position, because there are several that might show speed kind of more towards the inside. The 2-0 out, although I don't think that she's at the same class level by any means, she might show some speed from the rail, and definitely the 6, the Great Euphrates, will show some speed. So can she maybe stalk or press those runners, or will she just be caught maybe 3 or 4 wide? So tactically, I thought she might be at a disadvantage, but the 3 Leighton Princess was one that you used. I think probably one of the more legitimate horses who 2 back was very impressive. The question to me was, why bring her back to the dirt last time out when she ran so well sprinting on the turf? Did she need a run in between?
That's what I was really wondering. And it was just like she was full of question marks because she's had little turf races sprinkled throughout her career. And she ran so well and managed to win 2 starts back at Gulfstream in the 16 non-winners of 2. Not only did they move her to the dirt, but she ran against 25,000 condition claimers. So tougher competition. She showed a little bit of speed, and then she just completely faded in that race. And now it's kind of like, well, let's go back to what worked 2 starts back. So that was some of the reservations that I had. But we do have a trainer stat on Joe Sharp in the past 5 years going dirt to turf in sprints with mid-level claimers. And it's not the biggest sample size, but it is 29% win, 64% in the money. And it's an excellent ROI of 284. So perhaps that's just what this horse needs to wake up, going back to the same formula that won a couple starts back.
Yeah, I actually loved her 2 starts back because she was taking a huge drop from Allowance Company before when she sprinted on the turf. I think this is the right level for her. I just wonder why try to throw in another dirt race in between these turf sprints, because it clearly looks like she's a better turf sprinter. The number 8 Mo Weiss, I wanted to go back and show this spotlight replay. This was back in November across town at Gulfstream Park West, and she had a very troubled trip, and I think she's got some back form to even maybe solidify her performance in here and use some of these excuses in this trip. And we can see she is once again the number 8 in here. She's not yet in your picture screen, but she starts to make a big move, and she doesn't really have a tremendous amount of space to go anywhere. We'll get her in the picture screen in just a moment. There we go. She's in, you can see she's got kind of the pink colors in there, pink cap, and she's at the very, very back of the field. She looks like a closing turf sprinter, especially at 5 furlongs, and it's an absolute kind of cavalry charge to the finish. And somehow she's just weaving in and out of horses and finding her own path down on the inside. And I think that if she had a cleaner trip, she could have even won this race. So Nick Juarez, he rides turf sprints extremely well. That's who I landed on. You're getting 12-1 on a horse like this.
And my thing with Mo Weiss, she, in my opinion, is one of these horses that just always finds trouble. And I have tried to get her home so many times throughout the summer. Her last win was in April, and she's just kind of been knocking on the door since then. She's had stumbled at the start, had to steady, found herself stuck in traffic, and she is one of those horses that just always gets stuck in trouble. So I used her 3rd. It's a great price. If she gets a clean trip, then absolutely she's a player, but that is the thing. She needs to finally get a clean trip.
Well, the way I've been going, this horse will probably get blocked 5 times and finish 2nd by a nose. I mean, that is honestly how my picks have been going, and sometimes
and mine
yours too.
Absolutely.
Especially on Beat the Expert Day. It's
Always.
Not been pretty. But hopefully the luck will turn. It's got to.
Someday. We keep hoping.
I know. I thought it would kind of shift as we got into 2017, but not the case so far. So hopefully we have some more luck today as we get to the 5th race on the card, going the 1-turn mile on the main track. This low-level maiden claimer, and these are always a very difficult races in terms of those multi-race sequences. Of course, this is the final leg of the early pick 5.
It is, and actually, nope, the pick 5. Does it start in race 5 today? We have 11 races.
No, the final leg of the early pick 5.
The final leg, and I was going to say, wait, are we starting here?
No, it's difficult to...
We're always counting on our fingers. Final leg of the pick 5, so hopefully we make it here.
Now
I know where I
am.
Day. First 5 races. I promise you I can count. I landed on the number 7 Stagecoach Stop in here, and this is, I think, a wide open race at this maiden 12-5 level. We talk about this often with these cheap races. Sometimes you do want to have a bit of coverage. advantage. So I did go with Stagecoach Stop, who had to be drawn outside last time when taking that class drop and stretching out to the mile. So he was used a lot early in that early speed, and he did fade to be third, but that was also the first time with the blinker, so I think he's got some early speed. He's not drawn so far outside today, and should be a little bit better for him.
I agree. I thought that was a really tough post position to work out a trip from last time out. I thought he had no other option but to go. Today, a much better post position. And I also like the fact that he did show improved speed, because he did not show an interest at all in his first start. So it just kind of showed me that he woke up on the class drop. And maybe we could see him either go or show a little bit more of a versatile running style. The 10 we can dance. I'll be happy if we get 3-1 on this horse. I just don't know if we will, because the amount of money that was bet on him last time out, he was bet down to 70 cents to the dollar, and that was against maiden $25,000 company, and he ran well. So today, now taking another drop, I think that if we get 3-1, I think that's a bargain.
Absolutely he is, and he's definitely a must-use, and I used him in the exacta as well off of that class drop. And another thing we've been trying to figure out is how those horses shipping in from Woodbine running on the synthetic will fare, and he fared pretty well last time out in his first local race. So now he's got that race under his belt. He was beaten as the heavy favorite, but I'm sure it might have been some intrigue with him coming as a shipper, but I thought it was between those two in this race.
It's kind of interesting how the betting public, especially here in South Florida, bet Woodbine horses. They always seem to be undervalued for whatever reason it is. It's like their first start, though, coming from Woodbine. Sometimes you get a better price when they're making their second start on the main track. The 2, Granabario to the inside, is just one that has not broken through at this level yet, but could if nobody else shows up, and you're going to get a good price. He was second or fourth last time out, well beaten, first time blinkers, but sometimes you have to go with those oddball horses, just hoping that one of these days they're going to pop up and win. But that is races 1 through 5, the early pick 5. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the 20-cent Rainbow 6 and the late pick 5 right after this.
And Gulfstream is pulling away. Gulfstream blows them away with an eye-opening performance. Awesome again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear. Shaman
January 28th at Gulfstream Park, an icon takes flight. The world's richest thoroughbred horse race. 12 of the sport's finest horses. One race. $12 million on the line. Watch, wager, witness. Go to PegasusWorldCup.com for more.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today on this special holiday program here. We've got 11 races on tap with a special noon post. So, of course, the 20-cent Rainbow 6 kicks off in the 6th race today. We have a carryover over $16,000 in that. And my ticket, well, it was kind of tough. I will be honest with you. I initially used 3 horses in the first leg of the sequence. I wanted to use She Read My Text, the number 1, because I think he's going to be the main speed. But I had to spread in race 7. I did not see that race clearly. So using 4 in there, using 2 in race 8, and then 3 by 3, only using 2 in the last race. I honestly did want to use the number 2 in the last race too, but we're talking about a ticket that would be over $100 and I don't know, $30. So $57.60 will have to do it for me. And fingers crossed we can get through this first leg of the sequence. We're on to the turf for this non-winners of 2 claiming event. And of course, the horse to beat in here is the number 3, Bingo Kitten.
It is the horse to beat, and it's interesting. Both of us are going to pick against him, and I'm in agreement with you that She Read My Text to the rail does look to be the main speed, and Bingo Kitten has run very well in his last couple of starts. In 2 starts back, beaten just by half a length to be third against 30,000 non-winners of 2, going a mile and a 16th. Cut back in distance and dropped in class last time, beaten just half a length, and I thought it was another good performance. Now stretching back out in distance, but you have to look so far back for the last time that this horse actually won.
It's been a long time, and we'll show this stretch run of his race last time out. And look, we might just knock this old 7-year-old right into the winner's circle today. But I thought Luis Saez actually gave this horse a really good ride, and you can't really argue with the fact of swinging wide. This is where the horse wants to go. He swung wide. He was out in the clear. He was trying to close the gap here, and he did. But you can see his high head action, and this is just one thing that's my opinion. I don't like to bet horses that just don't show that follow through. He's kind of reaching his high head action. He doesn't want to pass the horses to his inside. So that said, he is facing the right competition today. Cannot take 6-5 on this horse, especially when the number 7 recalibrating comes out of a treble trip last time out, which will show you that start coming out of the gate immediately. He stumbled very badly. He is the number 1 here, Acacia. He gets bumped. He kind of breaks outward, hits the 3, stumbles, and rider Nick Juarez almost kind of looking around and thinking, oh, is everything okay?
Yes.
And the rest of the field just getting away from him early.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he had a very poor getaway last time out, but he does get some class relief after that trip as well. 2 starts back, he did finish behind Bingo Kitten, trying to make that bid along the rail. He drew the rail last time as well, and we saw that a very unfortunate trouble trip where he did really get off to a poor start, but I thought he still kind of recovered. He did make up a little bit of ground towards the end. I like him at this 16 non-winners of 2 spot. This just might be exactly where he needs to be. Nick Juarez stays aboard, and I think hopefully he's figured this horse out a little bit, and I think he's coming out of some solid races, and hopefully he gets a clean break today.
And maybe the outsider in here that we should talk about is the one She Read My Text, who does drop in class back down to the $16,000 level from $30,000 last time out. And Dane Kabisky is often really sneaky with this type of move and just freshening his horses up, making them extremely sharp, and trying to go wire to wire. And I can see them trying to do that with this horse stretching out to 2 turns.
And especially having drawn the rail as well, it does look like he's going to go from that inside post position as well. And you're right, he absolutely has done this sort of move, sometimes with a class dropper or off a layoff as well. So definitely one to watch out for at perhaps a little bit of a price. Definitely better than something you'll get on Bingo Kitten, and perhaps even recalibrating, but does have that early speed and did even show that speed and a good finish last time against Tougher.
Okay, that is the 6th race, kicking off the 20-cent Rainbow 6 with that carryover. As we turn our attention to the 7th, now we get to the 50-cent late pick 5. Did you have an equally as tough of a job trying to construct the late pick 5?
I did, and now we finally made it to the late pick 5. And I agree with you on the 7th race. I felt this was a spread one. I went 4 deep in here, and I did single in the 8th race. I'm singling a first-time starter for Chad Brown in Volatility Index, and I would have liked to perhaps use Bonnie Arch. I did have some interest in Giovanna before she scratched, but trying to find a single, that was the one I felt would maybe be the most logical one. We've seen Chad Brown doing very well lately, as always. Then 3 deep in the 9th, just using 2 horses in the 10th and 3 in the finale as well. I did want to throw in that number 2 first punch for George Navarro in the finale, so $36 for me.
Okay, and that is, I think that's a pretty decent single there. I just wanted to back myself up with another horse. It was tough, and in the late pick 5, you know, if you throw in another horse in there, you wind up doubling your ticket. So it is tough if you can't find a single. And 7th race is definitely a spread race in here. Not surprised that our chicklets are all over the map here. The number 7, though, is Who You Prefer, Dancing Cool, a very nice price.
A very nice price, and I was actually surprised when looking down at the morning line on this horse, because Dancing Cool is 12-1 morning line, so hopefully you'll get that kind of price on this horse. And I know that he's running against 6250 Open Company, or she is, excuse me, again, but she stretched out to a mile last time. She was facing the 6250 Open Company for the first time, and she still finished a good 3rd. If you go back to her sprints in 6 furlongs and 6.5, she did blaze through those non-winners of 2 and non-winners of 3 conditions very quickly with back-to-back victories. And it looks like this is a horse that's in excellent form. And she's one that if you get a good price on her, I thought that this could be a very good way to kick off the late pick 5.
She ran a heck of a race last time out, finally facing open company. Not only that, it was her first time facing open company, but also she was stretching out to the mile from a 6 furlong sprint, and they went so slowly in front, and she just kind of could not close into that. They went 25 flat for the opening quarter, going a mile. You don't really see that often on the main track. So I know it's Gulfstream Park West, and sometimes fractions are a little bit slower, but still. And we didn't show this stat for Aubrey Marat, but going from routes to sprints on the dirt, he's 24% out of 50 horses and a positive ROI. So it's a big sample size, and he does well with this move. So I respect that horse as well. I did go to the inside to the number 2, Breach of Duty. And there was a horse, I believe it might have been Thursday or maybe even Wednesday of this week. The days are all blending together now. And there was a horse who had beaten other horses at this level of competition before, and he was just completely overlooked in the wagering. And I could see the same thing happening with this horse, who has been in very good form, and he won first off the claim for Luis Luna. I could see this horse really fitting this competition.
He certainly can, and you make a good point in that he's won against this open competition before, and that's going to definitely be a feather in his cap because he has something that several others in this field don't have, and that includes the number 11 Solfatara, who's to the outside. I thought would be an interesting one. Now, she definitely has quite a bit of early speed, and she has to probably be used from that far outside post. That was one of the reasons I couldn't put her on top in here. But we do have a trainer stat on Victor Barboza, first off the claim on the dirt. I thought this was a fascinating stat. He's 38% win. 15 out of 16 have finished in the money, 94% in the money, and it is an ROI more than $5. So even if this horse can't win from that outside post, it looks like she has an excellent shot of finishing in the money.
Yeah, she's double-digit odds, and maybe just throw her in some exactas because he finishes or tries. He finishes in the money a lot of the time there, almost 100%. So that's a great stat there to kick things off in the final pick 5 of the day. That is a tough race, though. You and I both agreeing that you spread in that race. As we get to the 8th, a nice maiden special weight going a mile and a 16th on the turf. Acacia, and this is where your single comes into play, and that is the number 2 Validity Index.
Yes, and this one is as I mentioned, a first-time starter for Chad Brown, and it's intriguing because the work tab looks very steady. There's quite a few works, which we've talked about this a couple times. Are a lot of works on the tab maybe a good sign or a bad sign? Is it patience, waiting until this filly is ready? She's debuting as a 4-year-old, but it is Chad Brown, a first-time starter on the turf. She was a $120,000 purchase by Mizzenmast. The dam did win in maiden special weight company, and this is her first foal to race. But there are a few works on the Palm Meadows turf course, a couple works back that really do hint at quite a bit of ability.
Her workouts at Palm Meadows have actually been quite good. The bad thing, and you mentioned it as well, is she was started to work at Belmont, then they shipped her up to Saratoga, and she was working at Saratoga. She still didn't run, and then they shipped her down to Palm Meadows, and she still hasn't run, and now she's finally starting at 4 years old. And sometimes we see Chad have more success with horses who are starting, as a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. So that's why I took kind of the wait and see approach. But she could just be a diamond in the rough, so to speak, just from her pedigree alone. But the 8, Bonnie Arch, was one that kind of intrigued me. Last time out, she did go 9 furlongs on the turf. I thought it was a good performance. And even 2 starts back, she finished second, although it was a well-beaten second behind Burma Road, who came back to take an A other than at Churchill. And that race also produced another winner. So for the level, I thought her last 2 races have been good. And I think it's a big rider upgrade here to Corey Lannery, who has been just doing a great job, especially on the turf here.
He has been. I remember I really liked this filly when she was entered in another race about a week and a half ago, and she scratched. So I've been waiting for her to come back, and I did just put her behind the first-time starter in here, but she is absolutely a must-use in this race. She was so wide last time out in the 7 path. And the comment is that she hung. I think maybe she just got tired after having to go so wide in that race. So I think it's forgivable. I like to see Corey Lannery aboard as well. And she's been working steadily on the Palm Meadows turf course as well.
The cutback, actually, I think she'll like that, going from 9 furlongs to a mile and a 16th, because like you said, looked like she might have been getting a little bit leg weary in the latter part of the race, but this distance should be perfect. You also had some interest in the 11 above the mark from the outside, has been pretty much facing Maiden Special Weight Company at Saratoga.
She has, and she hasn't been seen since September in that last race at Saratoga for Tom Abertrani. So she's coming off of about a 4-month layoff. She was very well beaten last time out, but running against good company. And she does have her 2 races prior to that at Saratoga and Belmont. We're very strong in Special Weight Company.
Okay, let's get to the 9th to kick off the final pick 3 of the day, a mile and a 16th onto the turf for the starter allowance optional claiming event. And we both land on the same horse, and that is the number 2, Made on a Mission. I think that she's just going to really sit the trip in this race.
She really will, and that's why I landed on her as well. You do have several speed types. Dream of Jeannie was very impressive on the front end last time out. She is in Need the Lead type. Debbie's Tude, I think, is in Need the Lead type as well. And Made on a Mission has just been such excellent form lately. She's won her last 3 races. She even moved to the barn of Fernando Abreu last time, and what did go off as the tepid favorite, but she was so impressive in her victory there at this open 16,000 company. So she's stepping up a little bit, but she's won against tougher than what she'll face today.
She's got a versatile running style. I loved how she won last time out, because she took back from off the pace. She rated nicely, and that's exactly how she won 2 starts back at Gulfstream as well. Whereas I agree with you. I think Dream of Jeannie, she's definitely got to go. She's got one running style, and that's on the lead. And Debbie's Tude, although I don't think that she necessarily needs a lead, she's very rank sometimes. So she gives the rider a really tough time, and she kind of just inherits that position. So I can maybe foresee something like that happening once again, softening up I Dream of Jeannie to the inside too. So I think it's also going to set up for maybe a really deep closer, and that comes by way of the number 7, Little Miss Perfect, who I wanted to show a replay of from her last performance. This was on the 23rd of December. Now, I always say that it's very difficult to improve or even make lateral moves off of the claim for Mike Maker, claiming off of Mike Maker, especially on the turf. It's never easy. But Mike Trombetta, although he hasn't had a win here in South Florida just yet, he does do a great job, especially with his turf horses. And a lot of the time when they win at big prices. So this is a horse, as an outsider, I think does have a shot. And she looked like we can see in the Ramsey Silks here. She's trying to make her move there. She had to steady it a little bit right there. There's a wall of horses in front of her. Steadies again, just cannot find any bit of room. This was the day that Antonio Gallardo was on her. And then finally, when she finds room to kind of tip out and angle out, she runs on very well, so well to close the gap and run for second place. But by that time, there was absolutely no catching Red Parasol, who was so far in front of the field.
It is, and Red Parasol is in this race as well. But I think, as you said, Red Parasol got the easiest go of it last time, because there was a horse way out in the front end, and some of the others that were looking to figure were caught in traffic. Perhaps a little bit of homework to do as well. Rhythm Queen was 3rd in that race, so if she wins earlier on the card, that might be something to watch for Little Miss Perfect in here. And I agree, I thought that she made up ground really nicely last time as well. I thought that she definitely fits much better on the turf. Another horse that does look to be closing is the number 6, One Penny Piece for Phil Serpy, who did run a little bit tougher than this, right behind Dream of Jeannie last time when shipping in to Gulfstream Park.
And if you think Dream of Jeannie is actually going to get softened up on the front end and the dynamics are going to be different, then yes, I think she is definitely one to respect. So we pretty much are on the same page here, just a flip-flop of order as we get to the 10th race. The first half of the late daily double restricted starter allowance optional claimer. We go to the turf at a mile and a 16th. And we did have a couple of key scratches in here, but I wanted to start off with a horse who I thought was ultra impressive last time out, and that was the number 8, Fair Prospect. Now, we both use this horse in second, but I think we both respect him too. So we'll show that replay when he was an open length winner. Now, the only problem with this, well, we can see him actually coming out of the gate, the number 7 horse, and he breaks well, but I think the rider just wanted him to save a little bit of ground going into the first turn, so he does kind of take back out of it and try to save some ground. And this is a horse who in the past had been more forwardly placed. So that's why I wanted to show this, is that they deliberately took him back off of the pace, which I thought was weird. And then it actually worked out very nicely. The pace was very hot in front of him. They went 22 and change, 46 flat for the half, and he showed a new dimension that he could close, and maybe they found out that this is actually his preferred running style.
And it definitely could be that, and he just did it really beautifully, pulling away from the rest of the field. I thought it was an impressive performance, and it's interesting to note that going to the front end is not really the usual style for Luca Panici. We did see him going to the lead actually quite a bit throughout the fall, which was a bit of a surprise and seemed to take some of the other riders by surprise as well. But normally he does sit just a little bit off the pace, and that is where he really does get a lot from his horses. And that might have been what happened with Fair Prospect as well, as he moved just at the perfect time, and it was a beautiful performance from him. As you said, a key scratch of Bowtie Affair. That was the horse that I had on top in here. So I did scratch into the number 1 Niche in here, who does have quite a bit of early speed. Now, my question with him is he's kind of been knocking on the door and perhaps a little bit of finishing in the money-itis in his last couple of starts, but he has run very well, and he does have the rail post position for that speed.
He has the rail post, and he should show speed from the rail, but that was my concern with him, is he hasn't quite broken through. And also, JoJo's Dream to the outside, he's not slow, so I could maybe see him pressuring him, and JoJo's Dream has got to go from the outside too, because or else he might get caught a little bit wide. So I could see maybe them dueling on the front end. The horse that I really liked, and I'm interested to see if we do get 15 to 1 on this horse with all the scratches. I don't think so, but listed as a first-time gelding today is the number 6 Leonardo da Vinci. And I remember this horse running last year, and I always liked him, and he always got into trouble. He just could not get up in time. But there have been moments where he's found himself a bit closer to the pace, and I hope that that's the case here today. Julian Leparoux kind of getting him into the game as well a little bit sooner. So in my opinion, he is taking a drop in class from the level of competition previously.
He is. He was facing Starter Allowance Company in his last few races, so he will get a notch easier today, and he certainly could figure. And sometimes the first-time gelding is the best angle in the book.
Okay, as we get to the final race, race 11, non-winners of 2 lifetime event for that 6250 claiming tag, 6 furlongs on the main track. Acacia, we are at bookends. I go to the 1, you go to the way outside, the number 12 Starship Sheba, who's 20 to 1 on the morning line.
20 to 1, and this was a race that I thought was just wide open, and we both kind of mentioned this when putting our tickets together, so maybe you will get a price in the last race of the day. And I did land on this one, who was very well beaten in her last 2 starts, excuse me, but she does have a couple moments of nice performances. I like the rider change to Nick Juarez today. She has to deal with the outside. I just was looking through this race and not really liking any of the other options that I had, and I suppose we really should go to the number 2 First Punch next, who does promise to take quite a bit of money for George Navarro. But I wanted to quickly show a trainer stat as we're both picking against this horse, who in the past 5 years, first after the trainer switch with a 50% tag drop. He's only, first of all, he doesn't do it that often, only 9 times. 2 for 9, 6 for 9 in the money, so he does finish in the money, but it is just a 75-cent ROI. And this horse was well beaten last time, and I thought this was a very tough race.
It is. I think this is a horse that you could definitely use, but I actually threw this horse out of the pick 6 just because, yes, it's a trainer change, a positive trainer change to George Navarro, but she wasn't really running that great of races. I'm going with a horse that's actually been a little bit more consistent, and that is the number 1 Dungeness to the inside for Victor Barboza Jr. I really like this horse today because in a race where horses completely lack consistency, she's at least been running pretty figurative buyers. 37 was her lowest last time out, but prior to that, she was actually running well. And I think she's a horse that runs better here at Gulfstream rather than Gulfstream Park West, just because of her running style. She doesn't have a lot of speed, so I think if she can save ground from the rail and maybe angle out at the right time, she could be closing from off of the pace. But she is too, she's one that's been facing this level of competition. I just wanted some consistency in form, and of course the number 9, Here Comes Rosie. I think maybe one to look out out for protectively because she is taking that big drop in class?
She is taking the drop in class. I believe she's the morning line favorite, and she's coming from a couple wet track races at Aqueduct on the inner track, and she's running against Allowance Company prior to that. So it is interesting to see her in for the 6250 tag first after the trainer switch.
Well, that is a very difficult race to end the entire weekend. To be honest, we've been here since Wednesday. That's a very tough race. When you're looking at it, you're like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to go with the one or wait to the outside. But hopefully we have success here with our multi-race wagers. Of course, you did construct those tickets for the early and late pick 5. I did the Rainbow 6. Rainbow 6 carryover, 16,000 today. We start at noon. Pete Aiello will be up next with those scratches and changes. Best of luck.